Congress is fighting this. Is this truly a bipartisan fight? Because we've been talking about our farmland being bought up by Chinese and also some of our processing plants for a long time now. I don't understand why this is still happening.
Right. Well, Rachel, we've really been asleep at the wheel for decades here. And just the last 10-year period that we have the data on, from 2010 to 2020, Chinese investment in American farmland, I think it doubled. And so we know that we have a huge impact here on American farmland. And to set the stage a little bit, here in Iowa, about 10 years ago, we had a Chinese spy ring that was actually busted. They were trying to steal our seed to take it back to China to reverse engineer it. So they're up our ag land. They're trying to undermine our entire system, all while distorting the markets at the same time with unfair practices. So this is a bipartisan approach, absolutely, because I don't think this is a challenge for Republicans or Democrats. This is a challenge for us as Americans. And our farmland is one of our greatest assets here in the United States. And communist China should not own another acre of our land. It's about protecting our food supply. It's about protecting our national security. And I'm proud to be able to lead the charge here.
Right. So Congresswoman, you're not getting. You're saying that in Congress, both Democrats and Republicans are equally excited about your bill.
Absolutely. I think this is looking forward. When we look at investment in farmland and what we need to track here. This is about making sure our ag secretary, no matter who it is, a Republican or a Democrat, has a seat at the table to actually have the oversight necessary. This is about making sure Treasury can use all the tools that it has to track these foreign land purchases with more disclosures. We need to make sure that we have a good track on not just Chinese investment in farmland, but investment from our adversaries. We need to do everything we can to prevent that, because what's to say at some point they couldn't just flip the switch, right? So we know and this is kind of a multi-pronged. We know that land is one part of this equation. Controlling the inputs and the supply chain is another. So that's where we're trying to tackle this kind of from an all of the above approach here, in making sure that we can still remain competitive and protect our supply chain at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, food security is national security. It's unbelievable what the Chinese are doing. And as you said, we've been asleep at the wheel. A lot of times these purchases, Congresswoman, are being made by Americans who provide cover through these, corporations or some sort of arrangement so that the Chinese are actually behind it, but it looks like it's an American buyer. Does your bill do anything to punish Americans who are involved in doing what I think would be treasonous transactions for the Chinese?
Yeah. So this bill is more about making sure that we have the tools to track, to go down a few layers, right? So with CFIUS, which is under Treasury, this is about those financial disclosure reports and investments, making sure that we have a clearer picture of who is making those investments. And so when I mentioned it's important to know who our adversaries are, which adversaries are buying this land, that's what this is about. It's about communist China. It's about Iran, right? It's about Russia.
Yes.
All of entities that we think could be working together to undermine the United States.
No question about it. One last question. What is being done about the land that's already been purchased? As you saw on that map, there's a lot of acres, millions and millions of acres already under the possession of the Chinese. What can be done about that?
Yeah. Well, I think the first step is trying to figure out how we buy it back. I hope American investors are looking, or farmers are looking at ways where we can buy it back. I'm not sure what role the government will need to have in that. But when it comes to protecting our food supply and national security, I think this is something where we have inherent public interest and may need to step in a more aggressive way.
Yeah. Well, there's a war on farmers. It's hard for farmers to hold on to land, which also is causing this to happen. So there's a lot of angles to look at this. Congresswoman, we're really happy that you're on this. It's such an important issue. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Rachel. Appreciate the opportunity.